Hello students and welcome to your English language class. I hope all of you are doing good. Now today we'll be reading yet another fiction from your supplementary reader, and the title of this fiction is same as the title of your book, Footprints Without Feet, and it's written by H.G. Wells. Now in this story, a scientist discovers a wonderful drug which makes him invisible, and after swallowing the potion the scientist turns to various mischiefs. And let us read the story to know what all mischiefs he did while being invisible. Now, can a man become invisible? This is the story of a scientist who discovers how to make himself invisible. Does he use or misuse his discovery? Now, that's the main part of the story, that whether he uses it in a good way or in a bad way. So, how did the invisible man first become visible? Why was he wandering the streets? Now we'll get to know the answers of these questions after reading out the story. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh, muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. Now, the two boys, they were astonished to see fresh, muddy imprints. एक उनको जैसे मड में imprints जो बन जाते हैं when somebody is walking bare feet or without wearing his shoes. So the imprint of the feet, they could see those feet and they were freshly made, as if somebody is walking on the mud just now. So they were quite surprised to see that. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London? And where was the man? Now they were thinking that what would a barefooted man would be doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London. So London, as you know, it's quite a rich city, and why would a barefooted man be there? And where was the man? Because this man was invisible and they couldn't see him, so they were quite surprised. Now as they gazed, as they looked continuously, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere, and as they were looking at the imprints, suddenly what happened? A fresh footmark, it just appeared from nowhere. Okay, they were not able to see any man or any woman out there, but still they could see a footmark that has been made freshly. They could see that footmark there on the mud. So further footprints followed, one after another, as if somebody is walking there, but that person is not to be seen anywhere. Descending the steps and progressing down the street. Now he was getting down the steps and progressing down the street. He was walking down the street. So the boys followed, fascinated. Obviously they were fascinated, they were attracted, because that person was invisible and they could only see the footmarks. So until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter. Obviously when the mud started getting off his feet, so the impressions also became lighter and lighter, and they were almost vanished, and at last disappeared altogether. So all the muddy impressions, they just disappeared. They were not to be seen anymore. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered boys, or the confused boys, had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. Now the mystery was explained in simple words, that the confused boys were following a scientist. Which scientist? Who had just discovered how to make himself invisible. Griffin, the scientist. Now he is the central character of the story, and his name is Griffin. He is a scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible. Now after performing a lot of experiments, he finally proved that a human body can become invisible. Finally he swallowed certain rare drugs, and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass. Now his experiment was successful, and he could become invisible after swallowing the rare drug which he has discovered. Now his body became transparent as a sheet of glass, though it also remained as solid as glass. So if you could touch his body, you could feel him, but he was uh, invisible. Nobody could trace him where he is actually. So brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. Lawless means he was unlawful, or he couldn't be restrained according to the law. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him. He was not much liked by his landlord, and he was trying to get rid of him. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house. So he was such short-tempered, and he was quite a revengeful person. So just to teach his landlord a lesson, he just set fire to his house. Now to get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Obviously, his body could become transparent, but still his clothes were visible. So to make himself completely invisible, he has to remove his clothes. Thus it was that he became a homeless wanderer. Homeless wanderer, a person who travels aimlessly. Okay, a person who travels without any purpose, who keeps roaming around here and there. So he had become a homeless wanderer, without clothes, without money, and quite invisible. Obviously, he had nowhere to go, he had nothing to wear, he had no money left with him, and he was quite invisible until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. Okay, now also he was not wearing any shoes or any slippers, so he was barefooted, and he left his footmarks or footprints as he walked through the mud. Okay, now he escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London. Now it was not that tough to escape from there, but his adventures were by no means over. Okay, he was in a mood to do some more adventures. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. Now London's weather is unpredictable. Most of the year it remains very cold and chilly. So he was wandering without clothes. He was moving here and there without clothes, and it was not a good thing to do at that time of the year. It was midwinter. The air was bitterly cold, and he could not do without clothes. Now he needed clothes badly because it was midwinter time and it was bitterly cold. So instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into a big London store for warmth. Now he was invisible and nobody can catch hold of him. So he thought of entering a big store to catch some warmth there. Now closing time arrived, and as soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense. Now he was not bothered to pay anything because nobody could trace where he is, or where whatever he wants to pick, he could pick from the store. So he was not bothered at all. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. Now soon, with shoes and overcoat and a wide brimmed hat. Now wide brimmed means with wide edges or with wide borders. He covered his head with a wide brimmed hat. He became a fully dressed and visible person. Now after wearing the clothes and hat and all, he was quite visible. One could make out that a person is standing or sitting there. Now in the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee. Now obviously he was very hungry, so he found himself some cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meal with sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. Now it was kind of a supermarket, so everything was available there. He had clothes, he had something to eat and something to drink also. So finally he settled down to sleep on a pile of quilts. Now, after making himself comfortable, after eating his heart out, so he finally settled down to sleep. If only Griffin had managed to wake up in good time, all might have been well. Now, as it was, he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving next morning. Now, obviously, he was very much tired, and finally, he gets some warmth and all. So, he slept till late, and the assistants of the big store, they arrived next morning, and he was still sleeping. When he saw a couple of them approaching, he panicked and began to run. Now, as soon as he saw some assistants approaching him, he became worried, and so he began to run. They naturally gave chase. They started chasing him because they thought he must be some kind of a burglar or some kind of a thief. Now, in the end, he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. Now, he has to become invisible to get rid of those people, so he removed all his clothes once again. So once more he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. Now again he was facing the same chilly air, and that was making him uncomfortable. This time he decided to try the stock of a theatrical company in the hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. Now he decided that okay, fine, I'll go to some theatrical company where I can get something to cover my face as well. Okay, and also I'll get something to put on. Shivering with cold, he hurried to Drury Lane, the center of the theatre world. Okay, so now he was invisible, he can visit any place and he can pick things of his choice. So he went there. He soon found a suitable shop. He made his way invisible upstairs and came out a little later wearing bandages round his forehead, dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers, and a large hat. Now, as you know, in theaters, you get to wear all these kind of things. So he found himself dark glasses. He covered his face with bandages, and he wore dark glasses, false nose, and big bushy white whiskers means mustaches. Okay, just to cover his face, because so that just to hide the bandages which were covering his face, he wore a side whiskers also, large big side whiskers or mustaches, and a large hat. To escape without being seen, he callously means hard-heartedly, or you can say carelessly, attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all the money he could find. Now, just to escape from there, what he did, he attacked the shopkeeper and he took all his money, he robbed all his money, and he escaped from there. Eager to get away from crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping. Now, he know that in London it would be very easy for him to get caught, so he thought of going to some small village where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. Now he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. Inn means it's kind of a lodge where you get to stay and where you get to eat also, and you can stay for say a couple of days or for a month or so. Now the arrival of a stranger at an in winter was in any case an unusual event. Okay, so it was kind of unexpected event for the people working at the inn, and they were not expecting any visitor at that time of the year. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. Wagging means oscillating movement, so like the dog's tail wag. Okay, so just like that, the tongues were wagging means people were talking about it because it was such a he had such uncommon appearance. Obviously his face was covered with bandages and all, and he was looking very uncommon, or you can say very scary. Now Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly, but Griffin had no desire to talk and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is a desire for solitude." Now, what reason he gave to the landlord's wife? That he wanted solitude, he want to stay alone and doesn't want to get disturbed. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work, so that's why I've come here. Besides, an accident has affected my face. Now he gave all sorts of justification um, to explain or to give reasons why he has covered his face like that, and why he wants to stay alone and he doesn't want to get disturbed. Now, satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist. Eccentric means misfit or abnormal, you can say. So he was kind of a misfit scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. Now, this landlord's wife was satisfied that her guest has paid her in advance, so she ignored all his strange habits and all his irritable temperament. But the stolen money did not last long. Whatever money he had stolen from the shopkeeper at the theater world, that money did not last long, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. So he was out of money. He pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. Now, he can't just stay there without paying money, so he just pretended that his check is about to arrive any moment. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in the morning, a clergyman, who's a clergyman? You can say a priest or somebody who works in the church. So he was a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Now, this couple, they were sleeping and suddenly they were awakened by noises in their study. Now, creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money. Chink of money means, you can say, clink of coins, the sound of coins being rattled, or they were being taken from the clergyman's desk. Now they could hear the clink of coins being taken away from the clergyman's desk without making any noise, and with a poker. Now, what's a poker? Poker is a fire stick. A metal rod, generally of wrought iron, for adjusting the burning wood or coal in fire. In London, you must have seen in movies and all, they have this fireplace and where they sit to warm themselves. So they have this wrought iron stick to adjust the coal or wood in the fireplace. Okay, so he was grasping a poker firmly in his hand, and the clergyman flung open the door. He just opened the door. Okay, surrender, and he shouted that whoever it is, just surrender. Then to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. Okay, he was expecting some stranger to be there, some kind of burglar be there, but to his amazement, the room was all empty. Now he and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. They searched for the stranger, searched for the burglar everywhere, but there was no trace of anybody there. There wasn't a sign of anybody, yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. Now, their house has been burgled, that's for sure. Money has been taken away, but they couldn't see anybody sitting or standing there or hiding there. Extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. Now, obviously, it was hard to believe that nobody was there and still the money was missing. So, he kept on saying extraordinary affair. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Now, things were not quite ordinary even at the landlord's wife's place, or the inn where the scientist was staying. The landlord and his wife were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Now, the landlord and his wife also woke up very early and they were quite surprised that the scientist's door was wide open, which usually was kept closed. Now, usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. He wanted privacy, he didn't want to get disturbed. So almost all the time the door was shut and locked. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. Now they were very curious what the scientist keeps on doing. So they just entered his room, they peeped round the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. So they barged in and they went there to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. And stranger still, the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. Okay, so everything that he wore was lying around the room. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff. What do you mean by sniff? An audible breath close to her ear. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leaped up and dashed itself into her face. Now, suddenly, what happened? The hat, nobody was picking up the hat, but the hat was floating in the air and it just dashed itself into her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her legs foremost. Now, who was doing this? Obviously, the scientist was doing this, but he was invisible, so they couldn't make out who's doing this, and they thought that it's some kind of witchcraft or some supernatural powers has taken over their place, and they got horrified. Okay. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Then suddenly, what happened? That everything was floating in the air, the chair was floating, and somebody, the extraordinary chair, he couldn't just push them with his hand, so he just used one chair and he pushed them both with them. With the chair, and he just slammed the door, shut the door with force, making some kind of a sound, and he just locked the door after them. Now Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics, in panic. Hysterics means in panic. So she just fell down the stairs. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. Now, Mrs. Hall thought that her place is haunted by spirits, and the spirits had taken over all, and they have entered into her furniture. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned, or cried in pain or sorrow. To think it should rise up against me now. Okay, now the chair which made them get out of that room, her mother used to sit in that chair, so she was feeling really bad about that. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. Now it's a village, so people out there, they used to believe in supernatural powers and they used to believe in witchcraft and all. So they said that this is all being caused by witchcraft. But with witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now everybody suspected the strange scientist and they thought that he had a hand in it. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. Now earlier he was saying that he had left with no money, and now suddenly he produced some money, so everybody became more skeptical. The village constable was secretly sent for or called. Now instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. Now Mrs. Hall went to the scientist and he suddenly appeared from the room which was empty. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. Now she directly started interrogating him. The scientist was always quick-tempered. Now he became furious. You don't understand who or what I am, he shouted. Very well, I'll show you. Now he was short-tempered, so he again he started to take revenge and he started to teach her a lesson. Suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even nose. He threw off everything. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. Obviously, he became invisible again, shoulders up. So he became a headless man, and everybody was horrified at the sight. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. Now he was not horrified, but he was quite surprised that he will have to arrest a man without a head. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. He was, you can say, he was a person who does his duty well. So he said that nothing can prevent me from doing my duty. Whatever it is, I've got to catch hold of him. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person had to be arrested with or without his head. Now this is his thinking, that I have to arrest the person whether he is with or without his head if a magistrate warrant has been ordered to arrest a person. Now there followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible. As he threw off one garment after another. Now the scientist, he wanted to become invisible, so he started throwing off all his garments one after another. Finally a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Some people tried to help him but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. Now everybody was trying to catch hold of him, but he started hitting them by blows. Okay, he started punching them in their face and everywhere else. Now in the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. Now our scientist, he just hit him with a punch on his face, and Jaffers was knocked off and he became unconscious. There were nervous, excited cries of "Hold him!" Now everybody was shouting, "Hold him!" But this was easier said than done. Now it was very easy to say, but it was very difficult to do. So Griffin had shaken himself free, and no one knew where to lay hands on him. He was invisible, and everybody was trying to catch hold of him, but it was next to impossible to lay hands on him because he was invisible. So we get to know that his mischiefs will never end, and he will be the lawless person that he's already always had been. So this was the story of the eccentric scientist, and I hope you have understood each and every word of the story. And if you've got any doubt, you can ask me in the group. Now here's your homework. You have to write the character sketch of the main characters, and you have to write a short summary of this lesson, and also do the question answers given here. Okay, and submit your homework by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you for watching this video.